This is another edition of Ask Tommy. And here we're going to talk about the basic question that everybody asks. Well, everybody who's stuck in an addiction asks this question. How can I stop? Once they realize this addictive behavior isn't leading my life where I want it to go. I'm out of control, meaning I do a behavior that I know is going to bring negative consequences into my life, and I can't break out of it. I can't break out of that behavior. So, how do you stop? The very serious answer, not joking, to that question is you stop by stopping. By stopping what? You stop using alcohol by waking up one day, or whatever time of the day it might be, reaching out to another human being and telling them the truth of your situation. For a moment, you've stopped the momentum of the addiction by involving another person. Hopefully a person that's caring and, in the best of circumstances, has some idea about how to help you. Once you've broken the momentum of the addiction by letting another person in on it, then you have, in our world, really just only a couple of choices. You can step into a recovery program of some kind or another. By recovery program, I mean something like the 12-step programs, SMART recovery program, Celebrate recovery program, Refuge recovery program, Yoga and 12-step recovery program, and other such programs, which are all basically free, and all of them have a community element of them, to them. Although they approach the problem of addiction in slightly different ways, they all have that community element, and they're all accessible to anybody. Anybody can walk into a 12-step program. Anybody can walk into any of those programs and get some support. When I was getting sober, I remember saying to a therapist of mine right before I was getting sober, she said, I really need you to go to a Cocaine Addicts Anonymous meeting, Cocaine Anonymous. So I was doing a lot of cocaine, and there was a Cocaine Anonymous meeting in this town, and I said to her, no, I know I'm in trouble, and I'm not going to go, because I don't want to become one of those people. I don't want to be one of those people. And of course, I had no idea what those people really were like. I just had this idea in my mind about what recovery was and how my life was going to be this awful life on the path of recovery. And I, of course, couldn't see beyond my own addiction. Now I understand that those people are actually connected, working on their lives, experiencing joy, experiencing life fully. You know, I just couldn't imagine being one of those people at that time. There are treatment centers. So if you can't walk into a 12-step program or any of those programs, if your situation is pretty dire, as mine was, you might need to go away to inpatient treatment or outpatient treatment. I would suggest inpatient treatment for anybody who's struggling with addiction. The reason is it's great to put some distance between you and, number one, the people you've been hanging out with, the area that you've been, and of course the drugs and the drug dealers that you may have been dealing with. It's good to put some distance between you and the routines that you've gotten into in addiction. And inpatient treatment can really help with that, right? Outpatient treatment, you still stay at home, but you go to an outpatient center and you do the work of recovery. 4 or 5 hours a day, 3, 4, 5 days a week, which has helped a lot of people to get better, to heal, and to get sober. Beyond recovery programs, treatment centers, you've got various forms of therapy. And we'll include yoga and meditation in that because that's a part of a therapeutic process as well. I have seen some people get sober and heal from chronic addiction through the one-on-one therapeutic relationship, but I will say that it usually happened because the therapist was referring the client to other recovery programs as a support to the work they were doing together. But I believe very strongly in the power of therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, somatic healing, spiritual psychology, a variety of different forms of therapeutic modalities have been very, very important in my life, and I know I've helped people to get sober and to stay sober and to find peace and happiness on the road of recovery. So these are the things that we can do, and you'll notice every option I just gave includes people in it. Other people that are walking down a similar path. My path was, treatment, inpatient, 12 steps, and therapy. I kind of approach my recovery like, the kitchen sink philosophy. I grab everything at my disposal that I might need that could help me move beyond the affliction of addiction. That was my path. You'll have to choose your path. If you're a family member or a loved one of someone who's suffering with addiction, there's a whole protocol for positioning yourself correctly to be of maximum use to that person and not to get pulled down into addiction and into the whirlwind and the force field of it yourself. We have a lot of resources for families here at Recovery 2.0, so please take advantage of those resources and look at some of those videos. But how do you stop? You tell someone, and then you choose a path of recovery. What happens if you don't? Well, in my experience, you just keep going. You just keep going down this path of self-destruction. And your behavior is usually not at your best. And it's not that you're a bad person. Far from it. You're a human being with infinite potential and possibility, which remains unrealized, much like a seed cannot reach its potential until it has the necessary elements to bloom and then to grow. The necessary elements for us to bloom and to grow as human beings are love, connection, great food, water, a path to follow, a community to support us as we inevitably will find challenge and hardship along that path. Why? Because it's difficult to change. It's more difficult not to change, but it's difficult to change. So those are the things we're going to need. Addiction of all kinds has one characteristic that cuts across every experience of it, and that one characteristic is separation, aloneness. People stuck in addiction feel alone. Even if they're in a room filled with people, they're put upon by their mind and they struggle in addiction. So the antidote is naturally coming into community, coming into connection, coming into love. And there are ways that are set up in this society to do that. You will not think at first that this is for you. Almost nobody does. You will not agree. You will fight your own evolution at every step of the way. But once this thing catches fire in your heart, you will recognize your addiction and all the pain and suffering as the greatest gift you ever had in your life, which led you to a place where you could get onto this beautiful path of recovery and healing, of the reclamation of true self, of connection and love. And I wish that for you, wherever you are. Make this a great day. Be on this path. Ask for help when you need it, and do not despair. There is a way through every block.